This video is sponsored by PokemonStore.com, the best place to get yourself some TCG code cards. They are compatible with TCG Live, and you can of course get everything on the website for 5% off using the coupon code ZapDoseTCG. This video is also sponsored by Cardmarket.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can do it as well. And you can use the referral name ZapDoseTCG to help support the channel. This video is also sponsored by YourPlaymat.com. This is a platform where you're able to, of course, create your own custom playmat. They have, of course, capabilities to ship worldwide, and you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. So definitely check it out. Last but not least is Dragon Shield, the best brand to protect your beautiful cards. You can of course there's links down below for US and European people, and you can of course get your best quality sleeves available, as well as deck boxes and binders. Thanks so much for sticking around with the commercials. I hope you enjoyed today's upload. If you do, be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, and let's get this video going. Sup YouTube, it's ZapDoseTCG here, and welcome back to our Paradox Rift Pokemon video. We're actually exploring a lot of Paradox Rift content lately because the set actually drops on the 3rd of November, which is actually in 3 days time, so I'm very excited for all these new archetypes to show themselves to the world. We have LAIC, a tournament that's going to be packed with the best players in the world, testing out the archetypes from Paradox Rift, which is going to be fantastic. So in this video, we're always doing this when a new set almost comes out, is doing a tier list prediction video. So I'm going to try to predict how these new archetypes will fare in today's meta game. Of course, we have the meta game already established for, of course, Obsidian Flames, the 151 set. And now with a lot of new archetypes joining the format, think about Roaring Moon, think about Iron Valiant, Iron Hands being included into Miraidon, as well as chien-pao. We will take a look at how this will impact the tier list. So if you guys are excited, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. If your tier list is somehow different, or you would put a deck higher or lower on the tier list, let me know in the comment section so we can get a discussion started. And as a little disclaimer, this is my personal opinion based on some results that have happened in Japan with my own opinion. So it's going to be a blend of those two things, and that's going to be giving you guys this tier list to have a little bit of an idea of what is great with Paradox Rift. Without further ado, let's just dive into this video. We have Tier S. This is considered the best deck in the format. Tier 1, which is actually very great decks that are going to be winning a lot of tournaments. Tier 2, Tier 3, and then Don't Play This. The Don't Play This category, don't be offended if your favorite deck gets pulled into the Don't Play This category. I'm just facing this issue that there's a lot of decks in the format that people say, oh, you forgot this deck in this tier list, oh, you forgot this deck. I included a lot of decks, and some of them will go into the Don't Play This category because I don't think they're well positioned in the metagame, including some of the newer archetypes as well. Okay, with that being said, let's talk about, probably the best new deck in the format is Roaring Moon EX. At first glance, I thought Roaring Moon EX wasn't all that impressive, but if we take a flashback back at the days of Unbroken Bonds with Regigigas, Tempozord, whatever, a deck that can slap 220 on the first turn very easily is a scary archetype. Not only that, it doesn't always need to slap 220, it also can evaporate opponents with its first attack, being able to put any Pokemon out of existence, just instantly knocking something out, and then if you do that, you put 200 damage to yourself. The cool thing is you're not even knocked out by that, and you also have the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule allowing you to get 50 additional HP, putting this to a 280 HP monster. It's a basic Pokemon, don't forget that, and you can power it up with Professor Sada's Vitality, accelerating an energy from the discard pile to 2 of your ancient Pokemon. So you can actually set up 2 of them at the same time, so if this one goes down, you can have another one. You have the new Morpeko to provide some free retreat pivots. You can use Dark Patch on it, you can combine it with Darkrai VSTAR, you can combine it with Pokestop tracking shoes and all that stuff. So I think it's a very, very strong archetype because the only thing you want to be doing is Professor Sada, attachment of the turn, Dark Patch, insta KO. Or you could also go for the Galarian Moltres V. I think it's from Chilling Reign, where you're going to be able to use the, I think it's the Dire Flame Wings. It's an ability that allows you to absorb an energy, a darkness energy from the discard pile to it, and then you can go for Energy Switch. So if you're playing a Pokestop build with Galarian Moltres V and maybe a couple of Dark Patches, you can actually get it going on turn 1 most of the time. And if you think about the format right now, Lugia V in the active position, insta knocked out. Miraidon, insta knocked out. Chien-pao, insta knocked out. Arceus, insta knocked out. So a lot of these decks will be, and this is actually going to be a deck that wants to be going second. If this deck goes second, you can actually get an attack of turn 1. But if you go first, you have an easier time because you only need one attachment of the turn during your first turn, then Professor Sada attachment of the turn. So it's a very strong deck, doesn't mind going second, and that's why I'm putting it here on the tier 1 category. I've seen some people in Japan already having a lot of success with Roaring Moon EX, and that's the first deck we're going to be talking about. And as mentioned in every tier list prediction video, we're always talking about the new decks first. Talking about new decks, Gholdengo is a great card, allowing you to get 2 cards, draw 2 cards if it's in the active position, or draw 1 card if it's just sitting on the bench. And this also is stackable. That means if you can get a lot of cheese sticks out, or the Gholdengos out, you're going to be able to do that for every Gholdengo in play. So draw 2 in the active, then draw 1 in the bench. So you instantly have draw power, and you have Make It Rain, slapping 50 damage for every energy you're willing to discard from your hand. It actually is stating basic energy, so you could also be pairing it up with some psychic energies in here and some other attackers. I've also seen some wacky lists playing Gholdengo with a couple of fire energies and the Radiant Charizard. So it actually just states discard basic energies. You have superior energy retrieval in the format to get the energies back, so you can slap huge damage. You have draw power by a side, and there's even the TM, the Technical Machine Evolution, which is something that has been paired with Gholdengo a little bit because the Glimmagoos have a low amount of hit points, and with the Technical Machine and the Arven package, you can fetch the Technical Machine Evolution in combination with Battle VIP Pass. So on your first turn going second, there's already 2 Gholdengos set up. So that's the way people have been playing with it. Currently tier 2, it is popping up in top cuts and over in Japan here and there, but it's not that popular quite yet. So the people just need to have a more refined list before it can actually enter the tier 1 category. So that being said, Gholdengo is a very fun card. Reminds me of Blacephalon from Broken Bond, so it has a soft spot in my heart, and I tried to make this work for sure. Moving forward, we're also going to be talking about another tier 2 deck that I found very interesting. Is let's see here if I can find it. Iron Valiant EX. Iron Valiant EX is going in tier 2 as well. It is a deck that is very scary, also not widely played just yet, but it actually comes back with this ability that allows you to put 2 damage counters on the opponent's Pokemon. Think about the format right now. There's a lot of weak HP Pokemon in the format. Frigibax, Ralts, Comfey, Pidgey, Charmander. I could keep going, but I don't need to because you're already gonna get donked if you already seen Iron Valiant, because Iron Valiant plays the new Techno Radar, allowing you to discard a card from hand in order to get 2 future Pokemon, and that allows you them to get easily access to all the Iron Valiants in the deck. And then if you have some heavy balls as well, and if you have a lot of switch outs in your deck, Escape Rope, Switch card, a regular switch, you're gonna switch around your Iron Valiants, and you're gonna be able to KO the opponent's Pokemon on the first turn of the game without the opponent even drawing a card. That's super scary, but as mentioned, there's a lot of big HP Pokemon that the opponent can be starting with as well. Chien-pao, Miraidon, Roaring Moon, etc. So even Mew V doesn't mind seeing Iron Valiant that much. Also, yeah, that's why I think it's still tier 2. There's a lot of, it's a little bit of a polarized way you could be playing with this deck, so you have to have some matchup luck by your side. But if you're able to dunk an opponent before they're able to draw a card, that's just so nasty, belonging here in the tier 2 spot. Not only that, if you go second, you have a turn 1 Yoga Loop, so you might be playing some Rapid Strike energies and maybe even an artillery package in there to easily find your Rapid Strike energies. So I think this deck has to prove itself before it goes higher than tier 2, but it's definitely a tier 2 deck, and I personally think, yeah, it's a perfect fit for now. Armarouge, I think I'll put it in tier 3. It has a cool ability that actually gets 80 reduction done to it if it has full HP, so opponents will need to slap 340 damage to you in order to one-shot you, and it slaps 40 damage plus 40 more for every fire energy attached to it. So yeah, the damage output is very similar to Dialga V-Star with Metal Blast, so the more energies you have, the more damage you're dealing. You have the Armarouge, which can absorb energies, actually put energies from the bench to the active instantly. You can rely on Magma Basin, but I think if you're playing a fire deck in this format with chien-pao being very strong, I think it only gets as good as tier 3 for me. Also, you're relying on weak HP Charcadets, and that's already very scary. Not only are you gonna get like Iron Hands out of the format, or Greninja Sniped, or Iron Valiant, I think that's why it belongs in tier 3, but 80 reduction, pretty good to me. Okay, moving forward, Garbodor Wugtrio, also a new deck from this set, Paradox Rift. You're slapping 50 damage for every tool card you're willing to discard from the hand, and Wugtrio, if you evolve into it, you can actually find yourself 3 tool cards. At one point you're going to be running out of tool cards. Maybe you're pairing it with Rotom VSTAR, so then you can use a Rotom VSTAR to put the tools in the Lost Zone, and you can have some synergy going there. But it's weak HP and of course setup and consistency issues belonging here in the don't play this category. Mousehold is also something I wouldn't play. Mousehold has a cool ability that for every Mousehold or the pre-evolution, you're actually putting damage if you're getting slapped, if you're getting knocked out, or if you're getting like hit damage on, but it has so much low HP that I'm not a big fan of it. They do have they come with free retreat, and people might actually be able to crack the code to this deck, but for now I wouldn't play this. Any other new decks I wouldn't play. Skeledirge, don't play this, to be honest. It is yeah, having the ability just like Steam Siege, Volcanion EX to boost the damage output of your Pokemon. If you discard a basic fire energy, you're slapping 60 additional damage, but it's a stage 2 Pokemon and you cannot rely on Irida as you could with stuff like chien-pao to of course make it consistent. So you'll be needing to play Ultra Ball, find rare candy at the correct time, so that's why it is here in the don't play this category. Aegislash also yeah, maybe Aegislash goes higher, but I think I'll also put it in the don't play this category because currently I haven't seen any Aegislash perform all that well. There's an Aegislash slapping more damage for every prize card you have taken, so 70 for every prize card, you can hit huge damage. Or you have the other Aegislash being immune from V Pokemon as well as EX Pokemon. Maybe put a Luxury Escape onto it so you have 250 HP and you are immune from damage from EXs and V Pokemon. Could definitely be something people will be playing, very similar to Decidueye back in the days of the Darkness Ablaze format. Any other new decks? Mewtwo EX, maybe tier 3 at best with the Xatu. Xatu is going to be able to draw cards. It's pretty much Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX's ability, but you can accelerate to any type. You don't are obligated to accelerate to Psychic Pokemon only. So the Mewtwo actually slaps more damage for every energy you have in play. So if you have like a bazillion amount of energies in play, thanks to the Xatu and the manual attachment of turn, Mewtwo can become actually a viable attacker. Maybe you can pair it up with some other Pokemon like Snorlax as your one prize Pokemon. Xatu easily powers it up. So currently tier 3 for me. But I could see also maybe a one-off Mewtwo EX in some Gardevoir list, although we're going to be talking about Gardevoir sooner rather than later. Tsareena, I think I'll put this. I have seen a couple of lists perform all that well, so maybe at the low end of tier 2, comes back with an attack that puts the opponent's HP to 30 HP remaining, and then you can play with Hisuian Braviary, or you can of course have Panic Mask, so you're immune from damage from all those Pokemon, so that's actually pretty tricky. On the other side, if you're up against a Roaring Moon that damages itself, you can actually use your combination to put like the rest of the damage counter remaining because of Hisuian Braviary. Have seen some decks working out with Tsareena, so we'll see how that develops. Maybe in the lower end of tier 3 for now, but could become low end of tier 2, I suppose. But for now, high end tier 3 is where I would put it. It's a cool deck for sure. Also talking about the new archetype is Garchomp, still a deck. Garchomp itself has a lot of great raw stats. It has a high amount of hit points, has an attack for one single energy, slapping 160 damage and accelerating 3 basic fighting energies from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. So it's like a full blitz or whatever. You're going to be able to accelerate so much energies. You can power up attackers like, for instance, Ting-Lu if you're playing that, or maybe something else. There is a Koraidon as well, so if you can just power up some fighting Pokemon if you want to, and the Garchomp just has also free retreat, so I think people might crack the code. So as you can see, lots of new archetypes from Paradox Rift, and I couldn't be happier with all these new things coming into the format. There's even Regigigas. I think I'll put it in the don't play this category, even though it reminds me a lot of Dragapult VMAX in that sense, as you're gonna bully out some weak HP Pokemon. Definitely if you combine it with like Flying Entry Hawlucha. Its attack slaps 110 damage, and you put 5 damage counters to your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. So if in combination with the Flying Entry Hawlucha, you can actually, if you go first, swoop the opponent's field with low HP Pokemon. But as mentioned, there's still a lot of big basics in the format in the form of Roaring Moon, chien-pao, Miraidon, Iron Valiant. So I don't know if this is going to be seeing that much play. Okay. With that being said, there's also a Clawful Rogue deck using the Spicy Curie, or maybe the Bonnet. Actually, I think it's the Ancient Amoonguss, allowing you to poison both Pokemon if you have an Ancient Booster Capsule equipped to them. then you can actually use the Hysterical Scissors for exactly an insane amount of damage. It actually slaps 180 damage if you are affected by a special condition, and you can get it off with the Spicy Curie, or you can be pairing it up with the Bonnet. It's actually, yeah, the Ancient Amoonguss, that's why I'm calling it. So I personally wouldn't play this. You need double turbo energy. You need to get your combination going. But slapping 170 if you minus the 20 from the DTE. 170 for one attachment actually is pretty great. You only have 4 DTEs to work with though. But you're also a fighting type. You're going to be able to punish Miraidon players, Arceus players, etc. But I personally wouldn't play this, even though it's a great meme deck for sure. I think that's almost all of the new decks. I'm talking about chien-pao here. Tier 1 now actually playing with Iron Hands, using the Baxcalibur to power up Iron Hands. And Iron Hands, if you're living under a rock, allows you to take an additional prize card if you knock something out. Has a base damage of 120, so you can knock out a Rolls, take 2 prize cards, knock out a Comfy, take 2 prize cards. There's a lot of great things to love about chien-pao, because not only do you have Radiant Greninja, which can bully out 1 prizers, you can have Iron Hands, which can bully out 1 prizer, you can bully out 2 and 3 prizers with chien-pao. It's a solid deck, and I probably will be playtesting a lot with chien-pao, seeing as chien-pao already got myself 300 championship points by itself. Maybe we can just get my Worlds Invite entirely by playing chien-pao. You never know, although Gholdengo also has a soft spot in my heart. Okay, then there's also Miraidon, tier 2 deck, actually high-end tier 2, but also it now has access to the Iron Hands, so you can power that up with Electric Generator and start taking additional prize cards, so the opponent is losing the prize trade. Miraidon historically had a really bad time against Lost Box, but that changes with the help of Iron Hands, so that's very good for sure. Okay. So that's a whole mouthful, right? So let's talk about the current best performance. Charizard Pidgeot currently did really well. Is it still tier 1? In my opinion, it is. Charizard with Pidgeot is just great. If you are going first and you're able to get your setup going, you're going to be able to just run through a lot of opponents. Also, the Roaring Moon has a low amount of hit points. Even though it can one-shot a Charizard, it will not be able to do it twice. And that's where Charizard runs away with the game. Not only that, you're going to be able to knock out Roaring Moon EX if you're playing a 1 or 2 of the Charmander that slaps 30 damage, which I've always see happening from time to time in specific games. So I'm putting it at tier 1, Charizard. The Lost Box version of Charizard EX, I'll put a little bit lower. Let's see here where it is. Charizard with the Comfy engine did really well at Barcelona, by the way, but I'll be putting that in tier 2 because I personally think it's a little bit less consistent, and you cannot rely on the quick surge ability of the Pidgeot EX, which I personally think wins a lot of games. So, but Charizard's still a great card, and you only have to be careful of your HP department. You have 70 HP Charmanders. You have, of course, your Pidgeys have 60 HP, unless you're playing the 50 HP ones. But you have to be afraid of Iron Valiant, which can, of course, run away with games. Even though Iron Valiant get shut in its trap by specific other archetypes in the format, they're still one of your bad matchups for sure because you have a lot of low HP Pokemon. Okay, moving forward, let's talk about Lost Box. Turbo Lost Box. Not going to be tier 1 anymore, it's going to be tier 2, and the reason for that is that now we get tech cards. Not only do we get a Jirachi, which makes Sableye not spread anymore, so you can slap Jirachi down when you expect a Sableye turn in combination with Judge Path or Roxanne Path or any other shenanigans like that. So currently, Lost Box drops down a tier, not only because of Jirachi, but also because of Iron Hands and also because of Iron Valiant. So lots of hate towards low HP Pokemon. Sableye has low HP. Comfy has low HP, Iron Valiant can run away with the game. There's also the capabilities of the chien-pao using Iron Hands or Radiant Greninja. You always have to slap down Manaphy, but it's not always a great thing. So yeah, drops down a tier for me. Where do I put the rest? And also, now that I think about it, Regigigas, instead of tier 3, actually becomes tier 2 again. I've seen a lot of people testing out, the Regigigas that with Earthen Vessel. Earthen Vessel will allow you to get 2 basic energies from the deck, and with a high amount of research, you can easily, of course, get a turn 1 Regi attack. Once again, no longer missing out on Aurora energy because now you have Earthen Vessel. So I think this is going to be a great contender if people can refine the list. Maybe you're playing with Path and a lot of Iono. Maybe you're playing with Counter Catcher, so there's that. Talking about Counter Catcher, let's talk about Lost Zone Giratina, which is currently the most played deck in Japan. I would putting it in tier S because it clearly doesn't have any bad matchups. Against Roaring Moon, you can use Cramorant Spit, or you can sprinkle with Sableye. Against chien-pao, you of course always have Path to the Peak by your side to make sure the opponent is crumbling. Same effect for Charizard, you can snap at one point. So I think for now, don't shoot me on this, is Lost Zone Tina is the only tier S deck for now. That could change. You might think, wow, why do we put Lost Zone Tina at tier S time and time again, even though it doesn't do the same results over in the West? This is based on Japanese results and the way I'm currently checking out the meta right now. Also, Lost Zone Tina gets a huge buff with Counter Catcher, don't forget, folks, and that's going to be meaning that there's going to be a turn where Giratina can go for Path, Roxanne, and then go for Counter Catcher, your big HP Pokemon, and you Star Requiem. That's so scary. Also has, of course, still access to the Sableye and all that. So currently tier S, but it could be dropping down, or maybe there could be another tier S. But it has seen so much popularity during the first couple of weeks of Paradox Rift that I'm willing to agree with the Japanese player base. Gardevoir, now tier 2. Unfortunately, Gardevoir has a lot of bad matchups ahead of them. So Gardevoir is a deck that has historically been super great because it has the best draw power in the game. Refinement, Shining Arcana, Radiant Greninja, etc. But now, lots of bad matchups coming forward. Miraidon now has Iron Hands to swing the price rate. That's bad. Iron Valiant gets into the game and can swoop your board on the first turn of the game while you are not able to play the game, which is bad. They can Yoga Loop turn 2, that is bad. Charizard has always been like some sort of a 50-50, but if you have the reversal energies, but yeah, if Charizard is faster and sets up quicker, there's a bunch of Charizards you cannot deal with, hitting for weakness. Roaring Moon hits for weakness as well, and you put your HP down to a low amount of numbers as well. So because you have Shining Arcana shenanigans, so people might be taking out like Panic Mask if you're playing Tsareena as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think Gardevoir has a tough time ahead of them, and that's why I'm also putting it in tier 2, drop down a tier immensely. Talking about decks currently, Mew VMAX DTE build as well as Fusion build, I would personally put them in the tier 2 category, both of them. We did see that both of them saw success. We have Grabber builds with Path, Judge, and the Luxray package, and there's the Fusion Mew. Personally, I'm leaning towards Fusion Mew being a little bit better. There's that. So currently, this is where we're at right now with our current tier list. I probably would put Gardevoir above Regigigas, but these can be flip-flopped any way you like. But currently, I'm a big fan of the higher end decks for now. Moving forward, Snorlax Block gets a huge buff, putting it in tier 2. Yes, I am willing to put that in tier 2 just because of the fact that Snorlax Block now has Counter Catcher. And Counter Catcher is a very annoying thing to deal with. Counter Catcher is going to allow Snorlax Block to have more gusting options. And if the opponent is not playing a lot of switch outs, they're going to be losing the game. And that's why I think it's great. We now have Erika's Invitation for Snorlax Block. We now have Echoing Horn. We now have Counter Catcher. I think the deck is coming to itself. And it's already seeing a huge amount of success. I saw it at the stream in Toronto, so almost gotten into that top 8 as well. So yeah, there's that. Okay, moving forward, Arceus decks. Should we put Arceus decks in tier 3? Regidraco now has Earthen Vessel, but will that be enough to put it in the higher end? Probably not, because Roaring Moon just slaps that. chien-pao just slaps that. Charizard just slaps that. So for now, I think also Arceus Duraludon, not great against chien-pao, not great against Roaring Moon, not great against Charizard, not great against Miraidon. I think the Arceus decks are done for now. I haven't seen a lot of Arceus decks perform all that well in Japan, so that's why we're putting in all of them in tier 3. People that are loving Arceus will definitely make it work at one point, but yeah, you have a weak matchup against Lost Tina, against Roaring Moon, against chien-pao, against Charizard. You belong in tier 3. Unfortunately, the Arceus builds are done for. Hisuian Zoroark, also a fun tier 3 deck, I suppose. You're starting off with Hisuian Zoroark. Some people play this with a high amount of Clef Keys, which of course can shut down the game for a lot of archetypes. With Clef Key, you're not able to use your basic abilities, so no Radiant Greninja, no Squack ability, etc. Also, now that I think about it, Roaring Moon will definitely play Squack ability for sure. Okay, moving forward, United Wings, tier 3, could become higher. United Wings actually gets the Jirachi, which actually helps out. Jirachi, the Flamingo also pretty interesting because you're going to be able to two-shot like most two-prizers, or sometimes one-shot them. Unfortunately, the typings Darkness and Lightning with the Tartwell and the, what was it again, Murkrow, Not gonna be impacting so much because like Mew VMAX is not the most popular deck out there. There's still a lot of Iron Hands around, so currently tier 3 for me, but you of course have Jirachi to work with. Lugia VSTAR. If we're taking a look at the meta right now, Roaring Moon can attack you, but then you can attack again. Maybe the single strike builds is better, because if we're taking a look at it, Roaring Moon is actually gonna have some trouble with maybe a Tyranitar that can one-shot it. Still having issues against Charizard, that's true. Chien-pao is a little bit easier, I suppose, and Giratina as well. So maybe Lugia is in the high end of tier 2. The colorless build, is it going to be better? It's still, yeah, I think both Lugia builds are fine. Let's put them both in tier 2. It's like always interesting, like that the Mew VMAX shenanigans and Lugia are always around, but this is where we're at right now. Meowscarada, which sniping capabilities is very funny, because if Roaring Moon one-shots, you can snipe them and run away with the game. You hit weakness against Charizard, you can snipe weak HP Pokemon, maybe playing this with Iron Valiant a little bit, so you have ultimate snipe. I don't know. Currently not a believer of Meowscarada, just stating the facts. Control with Alolan Vulpix and Yveltal. The meta has been defined like these have all abilities, so Vulpix does a really great job against these. Giratina can snap away. Maybe Control. I think Control currently in tier 3. It hasn't been performing all that well. That's why we're also putting the Mimikyu Penny Loop, even though you also have the Professor Turo now, which can do a little bit more. Tier 3 for me. Banette. Actually recently got slapped in a cup in the top 8 by my teammate Jordy with Banette. So item lock. Let's see. Roaring Moon doesn't give a damn about item lock, and also hits weakness. So there's that. You have a lot of time to manually attach. Chien-pao doesn't like item lock. Charizard doesn't like item lock. Could get in tier 2, I suppose. Of course, Matthias, if I'm not mistaken, from Poland, was the one that put this on the map. Correct me if I'm wrong. So could still find its way. Palkia with Bibarel. Palkia with Bibarel gets slaughtered by Roaring Moon. Gets 50-50 against Chien-pao and doesn't like Charizard, so currently putting it at tier 3, I suppose. High end of tier 3, I suppose. These Arceus builds also high end of tier 3 for now. Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX is an interesting one. Roaring Moon can one-shot, Chien-pao can one-shot, Charizard at one point can one-shot, so I personally would put it in tier 3 because the better Yoga Loop deck in the format probably will be Medicham, but I'm still putting it in tier 2. Lots of tier 2 decks. There's a lot of decks in the format. Tinglu, I personally wouldn't play this. Dialga, high end of tier 3. Sometimes Kun cheese games, I suppose. Yeah. Next up is Goodra. Let's check it out. Look at the format. Roaring Moon can one-shot. Chien-pao can one-shot. Charizard can do a lot. Nah, Goodra tier 3, unfortunately. Hermione's not gonna like this, but it's funny but true. Goodra's not the play anymore. Zoroark, every single set people say Zoroark is broken. If you take a look at the format right now, you can transform into a Scizor, slap Chien-pao, transform into some grass kind of attack, slap Charizard, Roaring Moon. It's still an inconsistent mess, and that's not gonna change. I personally would play this, and then Sablezard in tier 3. That's currently my tier list for Paradox Rift. This is my prediction based on Japanese results and my personal opinion. Let me know if you would change anything about it. So, to conclude, the best new deck is Roaring Moon. Iron Hands gives Chien-pao the tier 1 buff it deserves, and the rest is also Lugia is going to be less popular, as well as what other deck? Yeah, Lost Box. These actually going to be dropping a tier, and this is currently what the meta is right now. I'm very curious to see where Reggie will end up eventually. So let me know what you think about this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Check out my sponsors, PokemonStar.com, to of course get yourself some Paradox Rift code cards when they are available for TCG Live, so you can start making a lot of new decks. And you can use the coupon code ZAPDOSTCG for 5% off. There's Dragon Shield, the best quality sleeves. There's binders, deck boxes. You can, of course, buy them over with the link down below. And you're going to be saving yourself some money. You can use the coupon code ZAPDOS5 on Dragon Shield. So there's also yourplaymat.com to create your own custom playmat. Create one for your team or for your personal self. Just have a unique playmat. You can use the link down below to get 10% off on yourplaymat.com. And last but not least, Cardmarket.com gets you covered if you want to create your own account to start selling and buying cards. It's super wonderful, the best platform there is. Use the referral name ZAPDOSTCG when buying cards. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Happy Halloween to everyone out there. And the format is looking scary for sure. Lots of one-hit KO machines in the format. Chien-pao, Roaring Moon. Giratina, all of them can snap and one-shot, so we're slowly but steadily going into a one-shot format with, of course, Iron Valiant winning on turn 1 as well, and Iron Hands speeding up the game. So we'll see what the format will hold, but Paradox Rift is gonna be loco. Have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for some more Pokemon TCG madness. Peace!